I'm Juliana. I know my hair looks crazy. Acknowledge it and move on. Today I'm going to be showing you the dirtiest, laziest, and easiest method for wire hanging your artwork for any galleries or installations using a walker display system. Now I have like a couple of disclaimers to cover before we get started, so I'll just run through those really quickly. So I have my very first solo exhibit this month and the reception for it is tomorrow and I have to install it today. I've been in a couple of galleries over the past year, but this is the first one that's just a solo exhibit about my own topic. So disclaimer, this is going to be like one of those blog type recipe posts that you see online. You know, you're looking for like the recipe and you just want the ingredients and how to make the damn thing, but then they go on for like 20 pages about their trip to Idaho. That's gonna be kind of like this video, but don't worry, I'm gonna add some chapters in it so that you can go straight to the point if you need that. My goals with framing is that it's cheap, simple, doesn't take away from the art itself, and is super cheap in terms of time and money. I have a lot of things to do on my plate, as I'm sure you do too, and we don't really want to spend a lot of time dealing with custom matting, framing, the cost of that, the time of going out of our way to hunt for things at like thrift stores or anything like that. So I'm going to give you the cut and dry of how to wire hang your prints in a nice and simple fashion for about $5. Another disclaimer, I don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. I don't know anything about interior design, framing, home decor, custom framing, anything like that. All I know is that I don't want to spend a lot of money. I can't really afford custom matting, framing, custom work, or even just regular frames if I'm being real. Even like the regular frames at Walmart or like a home store are a little out of my budget. I'm really trying to streamline the process so that it's super easy, fast, inefficient, and cheap for everybody involved, while still looking sleek and giving it that nice look that you can have in a professional gallery setting. Now, the walker system is a popular hanging method for a lot of galleries and other art-centered spaces such as like a cafe or like a museum. It uses one system of hanging prints in different directions, orientations, and spaces without having to reuse plaster or ruin gallery walls by placing a bunch of different nails in different places. It removes the need for sawtooth nails and instead uses a wire hanging method so that there's more flexibility for the gallery and for the artist itself. Now, if you're an artist like me who's being featured in a gallery or wants to be featured in a gallery but doesn't really understand the walker display system or how to come up with a cheap and easy, time-efficient method of wire hanging your lightweight prints, then this is the video for you. Let me just make my hair just slightly crazier, you know, for the performance art. Now, in order to get this set up, you're just gonna need a handful of things from different department stores or hardware stores. Should be very easy to access in any location in the United States. And then there's a couple of tools around the house that you're gonna need as well. First, you're gonna need the frames, obviously. You can buy frames according to your budget, but for me, my budget is essentially zero. So what I like to do that is a very sleek method is to purchase a black frame, either front-facing or with a thick, nice black frame from Walmart or Target. The Target ones are gonna be a little bit more expensive than the Walmart ones, which run you about $250, but the Target ones I think offer the most sleek the design and usually have the most consistency in stock. So Target frames are gonna cost you about $5 each, but if you have a low number of artwork pieces that are being shown in the gallery, this shouldn't be too big of a price cut for you. And if you're really looking to save that extra amount of money, Walmart is the way to go. Now, to save both time and money, I do prefer going to Target and paying just that little extra bit, but it really does bring a more coherent look to the whole gallery. Now, in a lot of other custom framing or DIY framing videos, you'll see people going to the thrift store. I love buying my frames used at a thrift store. I think it's a great way of reusing old frames to be able to make something unique and beautiful with it, especially at a home gallery wall. But for our purposes in this video, I'm really trying to find that balance between budget and time. A lot of us don't have the time to be going to different thrift stores, measuring out all of the frames. Thrifted frames can be a huge time investment, and the frames might end up being low quality or mismatched, which is why I prefer to buy new but cheap at a Walmart or a Target. The next thing you're gonna want is picture penders or picture hangers, something like that. I usually find mine at Ace Hardware, but you should be able to find them at any home improvement store like Lowe's or Home Depot. Those run you at about $250 for the lowest price kind, and I'll add a picture right here so that you know exactly what you're looking for. These are a super lightweight alternative to sawtooth hangers and D-ring hangers. First of all, sawtooth isn't really compatible with the walker display system, and D-rings are a little too heavyweight for lightweight prints or smaller pieces of artwork. A D-ring is really great for wire hanging if you have a super heavy canvas, but those can be a lot more expensive and usually require nail installation. So for those super thin frames that we're using from Target or Walmart, we really need something that we can kind of glue to the frame. We really need something that is efficient and doesn't really damage the frame from the front. Picture penders are the way to go. They are by far the cheapest alternative I've found, and they are the easiest to glue to any frame. Plus, you don't have to worry about scrounging up the nails and hammers that you need for that. You can just get some glue and be right on your way. The next most expensive thing you're gonna need is some hanging wire or picture wire. You should be able to also find this at any department store. I find the lowest prices at a Lowe's or a Home Depot, and about 10 pounds weight should be perfect for whatever you need. It's the lightest weight that I could find without going online. It really covers all my essentials that I need. 10 pounds is a bit excessive for the type of artwork that I bring, such as lightweight canvases or pieces of paper and frames. It is perfect for most art pieces. One roll of this will be about $5, but I didn't really include it in the price because one roll will last you a long time. I have wireframed about 10 to 15 pieces over the past year, and I haven't even put a dent into my own wire. So for that reason, I didn't really account it into the price just because of how long you can use this wire. You really only need a couple of inches depending on how long your piece is. For our intensive purposes, I didn't include it into the price. The last few things that you need for this process, you can usually find around the house or for pretty cheap at any major store. You're gonna need scissors. Any home scissors will do. Super glue. Crazy glue works so much better than Gorilla Glue or generic glue in my opinion, but Crazy Glue by far has always worked the best for me, and it is most compatible with picture penders that we plan on using for this installation. Since the wire that we're using is pretty lightweight, you don't need to invest in any wire cutters. Home scissors should do just the trick. And lastly, you're gonna need the artwork, of course. Depending on the canvases and papers that you use, they usually come in about a standard size, but you can also cut them to a standard size. I like to stick with an 8x10 if I can, because it's the easiest to find those picture frames while also not sacrificing how large the print is, for me usually in my process. So now I'm going to show you how I hang wire the easy, lazy, and cheap way. Okay, so now I'm going to be showing you my process of how I hang wire. This is a previous example that I have. You can see I use sawtooth hangers instead of the rings. I didn't feel like going out and buying more and I had some lying around. Here's an example of heavyweight D-rings. Again, still way too heavyweight for my art, so now I'm grabbing my art, taking it back to my desk, and showing you some of the frames that I bought. Here's a previous example using the picture penders that I showed earlier in the video. You can see it's pretty ashy from where the glue dried, but that's totally fine with me as long as the frame is not showing it from the front. Here we can see how sturdy the picture penders are with the lightweight artwork that I plan on showing. Here's a final example of what I like it to look like. So first I'll take the frames out of the package. I have to mention right here that I ended up not using the Target or Walmart frames for this specific exhibit. I've shown some examples of my exhibits in the past where I was using those frames, but for this specific solo exhibit I wanted a more cohesive look across a couple different sizes, and I'll show the Amazon link to the picture frames that I chose here. So you saw me remove the packaging, I removed the front with the glass and recycle that to enhance the texture, and then I add the original piece inside. Now you can see that these penders come with teeth to sink into the frame so that you don't need to use wire installation, but if you need more stability, just add the glue. Now I like to add the picture penders about 1/3 down the frame and enhance with glue if needed. Sometimes the teeth can be a little fragile, so I'll just like to add the glue for a little bit extra stability. Now here I'm wrapping the wire. I'll show you how I wrap it around the ring when I get to the other side. But I like to angle it so that there's enough wire that it hangs at the top with enough slack but without showing above the frame itself. Then I'll give it a little extra inches so that I can wrap it around the wire itself and cut it using the scissors. There are plenty of videos online on how to correctly wire hang these wires, but for me and my intents, I usually just wrap it around itself a couple times. That tends to be pretty secure enough for me, and then I can either cut off the excess or bend it back down towards the ring itself. And now that we've got our wires hung super easy, let's move on to the other ones. And here they all are. Just gotta do some inventory, cut out my business cards, and I'll be all ready to set it up.